If you're planning to catch a flight anytime soon, you're going to need to update your ID. In exactly a month, TSA will require passengers to have a real ID or another acceptable form of ID to not only fly internationally, but also domestically. Lauren Lennon spoke with TSA officials. Lauren, what do people need to know ahead of this important deadline?
Well, Mel, if you're anything like me, you still need to get that updated ID. A TSA spokesperson says, of course, it's better to get it sooner rather than later. But if you don't have plans to travel anytime soon, you can still get your real ID after that May 7th date. He emphasized to think of May 7th as an enforcement date rather than a deadline. And say you do have a flight planned for May 7th or any day after, and you don't have a real ID, you can still fly. Mel, you mentioned other acceptable forms of ID. One of the most common forms is your passport. You may be wondering why this change is happening. Well, it goes back to the Real ID Act passed in 2005, which came out of findings from the 9/11 Commission. It aims to raise baseline security standards for identification.
If you take a look at an old ID next to a real ID, you'll see some big differences. There's additional security features on there that makes the things a lot harder to replicate or make a fraudulent ID.
And according to the SCDMV website, if you have a valid U.S. passport or passport card with your current legal name that matches your social security information and 2 physical proofs of a South Carolina address, you can purchase your real ID. Now, this real ID enforcement date has been pushed back in the past because TSA says they had to work with states to get in compliance with the Real ID Act, and also the COVID-19 pandemic caused a delay as well. But Howell says TSA fully expects to start enforcing this policy on May 7th. Howell also adds that though the process does vary from state to state, a real ID is something you have to go in person to get. It can't be done online. For any information regarding the real ID, you can visit tsa.gov, and for state-specific information, you can visit scdmvonline.com. Working for you, Lauren Lennon, News 4.